Today my guest is the coordinator of Defense Committee for Young Political Prisoners, Rasul Jafarov. Welcome to our studio. Thank you. How many youth political prisoners are in Azerbaijan that you had to create a defense committee for them? We established this committee to defend the youth political prisoners arrested prior to 2 April rally of opposition and the youth activists arrested after 2 April protests and those who can be arrested furthermore. They are about 10. They include the chairman of the New Thinking Youth Organization, Ruslan Bashirli, who was arrested in 2005. Then I can say the members of the youth committee of Musavat party who were arrested after 2 April rally, as well as Azerbaijan Popular Front Party youth member Elnur Majidli and another person with the same name, Elnur Majidli, who has been searched by Azerbaijan via international police. You already know that 2 youth activists have been sentenced to imprisonment by Azerbaijan court. They are Bakhtiar Hajiev and Jabar Savalanlı. How many youth activists are in prison at present? They are a total of 10. How many of them were arrested after 2 April rally? And how many political prisoners, were arrested on other charges? 2 of them were arrested in other charges. They are Jabbar Savlanlı and Bakhtiar Hajiev. But all of the other persons were arrested after 2 April rally for their participation in this rally, and criminal charges were brought against them and they were sentenced to pre-trial detention. But we still believe that Bakhtiar Hajiev and Jabbar Savlanlı, though they were not arrested after 2 April rally, were actually arrested for their political activities. As you know, Bakhtiar Hajiev was one of the organizers of the online campaign for the March and April protests. He was sentenced to pre-trial detention immediately after he was carrying out such activities. Besides, Jabbar Savlanlı was also active on social networking sites. He severely criticized the authorities on his blogs. Now about the effectiveness of the protests, which one had more effect on the government? I mean, the online protests, online campaigns, or real physical attendance in the protests? From this point of view, I must say that the online campaigns didn't have a little effect. The general view is that the real protest actions can be more effective, but it must be taken into account that the changes in the Arabian countries started since the early 2011 were kicked off on social networking sites, online social networking sites. Therefore, there were expectations were that in Azerbaijan, the movement will move to real from online sphere. But I think that the online online campaigns didn't have a less impact than the real ones. What do you think? Is it easier to silence the online protests or the real protest, the physical attendance? In our reality, it seems more real to silence, to stop the real protests. Look, the 2 April rally was more crowded than the 17 April rally because many of the youth activists were arrested after the 2 April rally. But in order to silence online campaigns, there's only one way. They should either cut off internet supply or just impose many restrictions. But the world is campaigning against it. Especially U.S. government is against the blog interferences, and on the contrary, the U.S. government has announced that it will allocate finance to prevent the interferences in the social networking sites. Your organization has submitted an appeal to U.S. President and the Parliamentary Assembly of Council of Europe parliamentarians. What can you say about the details of the appeal? We discussed this appeal in different assemblies of the committee, and we decided to send the appeal to the Parliamentary Assembly of Council of Europe because it will start a session in June 22nd, and then there was a proposal to send the appeal to US President Obama as well, because in his earlier speech he raised some issues regarding the release of youth blogger Emin Mili and Adnan Hadzade, which contributed to early release of these bloggers. Therefore, we later decided to turn to both Parliamentary Assembly of Council of Europe and US President. We sent appeal to emails of the parliamentarians, and we appealed to several committees, including the Committee on Human Rights and Legal Affairs. It has a subcommittee on human rights. We emailed to all the parliamentarians, including in these committees. There are other subcommittees on the media and youth as well. We appeal to the parliamentarians, including these committees as well. There's also a committee on supervision of obligations undertaken by member states. We also appealed to these committee leaders and members. It is called the monitoring committee, and the assistant of the committee head contacted us and said that he is willing to meet with us during summer session. Therefore, we are going to visit the session and will raise these issues there. The appeal covers the launch of repressions since the early 2011, the arrest of Jabbar Sablanlı, Bakhtiar Hacıyev, Ruslan Beşoğlu, and others. We include their names in the appeal and requested them to make efforts to assist in the release of these activists. Most of the protesters arrested after 2 April rally are the youth activists. What is the reason? The first reason is that the youth were very active in both the arrangement of protests and during the course of the protests. If you look at the photos and scenes of the rally, you see that the rally is led by the youth and they are more active. And the general approach is that they usually try to silence the youth activists, so that to keep the others in fear, to make the others think that if the youth can be silenced, so I will be silenced very easily. It is very common to this method is very common to the countries with dictatorial regimes. Thank you for coming to our studio today. Our guest was the coordinator of Defense Committee for Youth Political Prisoners, Rasul Jafarov.